Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. I'm a stage 4 prostate, bone, and lung cancer patient slash survivor, doing absolutely great, just enjoying this beautiful weather we're having. Today, it's probably about 75, 80 degrees here in Texas, and it's just absolutely pristine and gorgeous. Spring is here, so it's really, really nice. I am doing very, very well. So many things are going well. My granddaughter is growing, uh, and is just a joy and a blessing to have. And so, yeah, things are really, really good. And I'm so excited today because I have a very special guest, and her name is Beth, and that's also my wife's name, Beth. And so, yeah, instantly I was like, wow, that's because I very rarely meet Beth. There's Elizabeth and all that, but not that many Beths. But at this time, what I'd like to do is bring on Beth Brubaker. Beth, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are.
So, hi everyone. My name is Beth Brubaker. I am a wife, mom, teacher from Northern Kentucky. We live about 15 miles south of Cincinnati, Ohio. And I am a 5-year breast cancer survivor. And my story is a little bit different from most because I actually went through breast cancer treatment while I was pregnant with our almost 5-year-old daughter.
I mean, this story is absolutely mind-blowing. So why don't we talk about that? What happened? Let's start at the beginning of this journey because people need to hear this, and I still can't believe it. So go ahead, Beth.
So in September of 2018, I actually made an appointment with my OBGYN because something on my left breast didn't necessarily look right. It wasn't anything that I was necessarily concerned about, but it was a spot. It wasn't healing on my left breast. I had no lump or anything, but I felt like it was important enough to get checked out. My husband and I were wanting to start trying for a family again. We had unfortunately suffered a miscarriage several months earlier. And so I went to my OBGYN and said, and wanted to make sure everything was in pristine condition. And, she considered what I was saying, like the sore, it wasn't healing, it didn't look right. And she knew that my grandmothers were two-time breast cancer survivors from my family history. However, I had already done genetic testing and was negative. And so she said, I think everything looks okay. But she said, let's go for a diagnostic mammogram just in case, give everyone a peace of mind. And I was 31 years old at the time, and that those words probably saved my life. And so she sent me for this mammogram, and the radiologist saw calcifications in that left breast. Again, no lump or anything, but saw these calcifications and said, I think let's just to be safe 70% of the time, this is absolutely nothing. Let's go ahead and do a biopsy just in case. So I had a needle guided ultrasound biopsy a week later. And the radiologist again said, I don't think this is anything, but I'm going to send it and we're going to see what happens. And so we made the appointment to get the biopsy results. I appreciate they do it in person at the cancer center where I go, and my husband came with me. We both went in. Just we did not have any concerns at that point. And then a nurse and a radiologist on September 26, 2018, told me that I had stage 0 ductal carcinoma in situ, which means that the breast cancer was still contained. And for us, I mean, for anyone who's diagnosed with cancer, especially being 31, it was a shock, absolute shock to our system. And so, and things moved very quickly after that. So the cancer center wanted to do a breast MRI. And they called Friday and they said, well, in order to do the breast MRI, you need to go ahead and take a pregnancy test because we can't do the breast MRI while you're pregnant. And so that Sunday, I took a pregnancy test, and needless to say, I did not get the breast MRI on Monday. I was 4 weeks pregnant with our daughter. So in the span of a Wednesday, you find out you have breast cancer, worst moments of your life, and then you find out that you're pregnant. It's a high and it's a low, and you just don't know how to react to any of that.
So what's going through your mind at this point? I mean, it's got to be like, oh my goodness, what do I do?
And I mean, that's how exactly what it felt like. We had no idea if we were coming or going. We had just gone through a loss that past April, and we were concerned that now we finally got pregnant again, and now I have to do breast cancer treatment, and we have no idea what's going on at all. And fortunately, that Tuesday, I went to see my breast surgeon for the first time, who is a phenomenal woman. And she sat down, held my hand, and she looked at me right in the eye and said, we can do both of these things. We can work around this. You can be happy that you're having a baby. And from that moment, even with how crazy everything was and just the craziness of cancer, I knew that I had a medical professional who was looking out for not only myself, but also looking out for our baby.
Wow. Wow. That's absolutely unbelievable. I've never heard anyone going through cancer treatments while being pregnant. And I can't even imagine, because you're so when you're pregnant, you're so restricted on certain things you can eat, and yet you were having to go through cancer treatments. So that's mind blowing.
It's one of those things because initially we thought it was going to be a lumpectomy while I was pregnant, and then we would have radiation after the baby was born. And so a surgery that, I mean, it's not ideal, but you just make it happen. And so during that lumpectomy, my breast surgeon actually took a biopsy of the spot that, again, on my left breast that still was not healing properly. And she said she wanted to do it just in case, just for good medicine. Like she was already going to be in there anyway. And it ended up being HER2 positive invasive ductal carcinoma, which HER2 positive breast cancer is incredibly aggressive. And so what they do automatically is they say, well, you need chemotherapy. And so we went from lumpectomy right now, radiation when the baby's born, to you're going to need chemotherapy while you're pregnant. And we were shell shocked.
Would be too. Wow. How how do they justify it? I mean, obviously everything came out fine, but you know, at being pregnant, you're so restricted on certain things you can eat, and yet chemotherapy is a poison that goes to your body, and it has to go through the baby too. So how did they justify all
well,
that? That's
well,
crazy.
it's there apparently have been many pregnant women before me who have also been treated for cancer. So they had numerous studies that said that adriamycin, which is affectionately known as the red devil, for its phenomenal side effects, and then Cytoxan actually did not cross the placenta. And so if you think a woman's body is incredible in pregnancy, just what it is able to do to protect the baby. And those are two chemotherapy agents that can effectively treat breast cancer, but will not hurt the baby in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't cross the placenta, filters it out before it can do anything.
It's just absolutely fascinating. I mean, and the results are you have a very healthy daughter, but
I do.
I mean, I have a hard time comprehending that myself.
It's funny because I feel like I still have a hard time comprehending how that was actually possible that after 6 rounds of chemotherapy and 2 surgeries, we have a beautiful almost 5-year old who is on track and going to kindergarten next year. And if you met her, you would never know her that she had ever started life that way. So I think our minds are still a little bit boggled to that fact as well.
That is just that is so great. I mean, I love this story. Absolutely love this story because uh, if you would have told if you hadn't I had a chance to see your daughter and she's, very healthy and happy and everything like that. I just, I don't know. I just can't see it, especially after everything that I've seen as far as chemotherapy goes and the people and going through it myself. I mean,
Sure.
it's really, really tough, really tough.
It is tough. And actually, what's interesting is they say pregnant women actually handle the chemotherapy agents better because of what their body does to protect the baby. And so I would say I had 10 rounds of Taxol following Harper's delivery. And I actually think I had a harder time during that point. And Taxol's not nearly as I don't want to say
Wow.
toxic, that's not the right word, but it's not as difficult to handle as Adriamycin and Cytoxan. I thought that was far harder after she was born than it was while I was pregnant with her in terms of side effects. And so it's still, I think we still are amazed that we have this beautiful, healthy child that went through so much before she got here.
Oh, that's absolutely phenomenal. I love it. So let's keep going in your journey. So what happens next?
So I had a mastectomy and then 6 rounds of chemotherapy. Harper was born and perfect. I ended up having 10 rounds of weekly Taxol after that. But adding to that, I also started Herceptin and Perjeta, which are targeted treatments specifically for HER2 positive breast cancer. Prior to their discovery, HER2 positive breast cancer was almost a death sentence. It was incredibly aggressive. It recurred very, very, very quickly. And they found these agents that targeted the HER2 positive proteins and basically taught the body to defend itself. And so and you cannot have those while you are pregnant. And so I started my Herceptin and Perjeta treatments and did 30 rounds of radiation at the same time. And I completed my Herceptin and Perjeta treatments during COVID. But the more special part of it is my last infusion was May 21st of 2020, which is was my daughter's first birthday. And so we celebrated her first year and my finishing my final breast cancer treatment the same day.
That is just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Love it though. Absolutely love
We
it.
we definitely believe in our family and in God. We have a very strong faith, and so many things during my journey really felt like they had God's fingerprints all over just the timing of things. And that we felt like was like one last reminder of his power for us.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, all you can say is she is a miracle. I mean,
She is a miracle.
to come through surgery, chemo, and everything like that, that is just absolutely. I'm so happy for you. I can't believe it, but I am so happy for you because it doesn't comprehend with me, especially with everything that I've seen. So
Yeah.
I mean, that is just absolutely fabulous. So keep going in your story because there's a lot more.
So I finished my treatments on May of 2020, and my husband and I even before I finished treatment, talked a lot about possibly wanting to write down our story. And so we toyed around with it, did some writing, and we wanted to make sure that the story was available for Harper as she got older, because we knew that she would start asking questions. And even as she's getting to turn 5, she has started asking questions, seeing pictures of when she was born, mommy not having hair, asking questions about scars. And so we knew that time was of the essence to make that happen. And so it took us about 3 years to write everything down. And so we ended up publishing our memoir called 25 Months, because we went from April 18th of 2018, which was when we suffered our miscarriage, to May of 2020 when I finished my last treatment. And so it's really evolved from what we wanted it to be in such a great way that our friends and family were reading it. And now what's really awesome is we don't even know who has read it and who has not, but we know it's out there helping others and helping them, give them a little bit of hope of getting through something very, very difficult.
Would you show us the book, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's really awesome is that's me. That was my maternity picture that I almost didn't have taken. I was a little, I don't want to say self-conscious, but a little more reserved about my cancer journey. And my photographer asked, she did our wedding picture, so we knew her well. She said, "Do you want to do any of these bald?" And I said, "Yeah." And I mean, this is what we ended up with, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And my daughter loves looking at it. She loves looking at the book. One of the coolest moments, I would say, of this whole journey was the day that we got the printed proof of the book. And she grabbed it and sat on the stool by our counter and held it up. And my husband said, he said, "Could you have imagined 5 years ago having our very healthy daughter holding the book that we wrote about her story?" And their waterworks. And so it's been one of the most meaningful experiences of my life, for sure.
That is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Tell us where people can get your book, and then I also am going to put links to where you can get the book in the description and in the comments as well.
Awesome. So you can find it on Amazon. You can also, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and then Cincinnati has a local bookseller called Joseph Beth Books, and a wonderful independent bookstore that they do online ordering as well. And then you can also find us on Goodreads. And I want to mention that 10% of the profits for 25 months is going to an organization called the Karen Wellington Foundation. And in 2021, my husband and I, with the Karen Wellington Foundation, and it's for women living with breast cancer. And the goal of the organization is to put fun back on the calendar of women living with breast cancer. So that includes vacations, spa days, zoo passes, anything, concert tickets, anything that could possibly be fun. That is the goal of the organization, is to make that happen. And 20% of the vacations they send women on are last vacations for the families. And so, incredibly important organization to us. I had a spa day 23 days after finishing chemotherapy that had an incredible impact on I felt like my dignity and self-worth after going through all those breast cancer treatments. So in 2021, our family started the Harper J. Brubaker Living Fund through the Karen Wellington Foundation. And that fund specifically targets women living with breast cancer that have children under the age of 5. And to date, we've been able to donate over $6,000 and have been able to send women on multiple vacations and spa days and zoo trips. And so 10% of the profits are going back to Harper's Fund.
That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. How would you Okay, if you were going to sum up your book, why should somebody read your book?
I would say, I would say definitely it gives a very honest and raw perspective of what it's like to be a young couple going through cancer. Our family truly believes that cancer is a family diagnosis. It doesn't just impact the person who is going through cancer treatment, but it impacts the caregiver and the extended family as well. And so my husband and I felt like that was incredibly important to be truthful and raw and really give people a perspective of what it's like. But we also hope that it will give people, whether they have cancer, whether they're a caregiver, whether they just like to read a good memoir, a sense of hope that things will eventually get better, regardless of what is going on in their lives in some capacity. And we just felt like it was a way to help people. And so, yeah.
Awesome. How one I have a few questions for you, but one question that crossed my mind is how important was the support of your husband through all of this? How did that play into it?
Oh goodness. He's sitting in earshot, so he's gonna hear this. I have I have the best husband in the world, and I think that when you're going through cancer treatment just by itself, you need an incredibly supportive partner. But when you're going through while pregnant, it amplifies the situation even more. And so my husband was there for every doctor's appointment, every surgery, every chemotherapy treatment. He was there when I had to go back to chemotherapy treatment, taking care of our 1 week old baby. He came for radiation treatments. He has been incredibly supportive in what we're doing for the Karen Wellington Foundation. He is an incredible father. I mean, he
What's his name?
his name's Jason.
Okay.
His name's Jason, and he's sitting, he's smiling, nodding his head in the background. He is just an absolutely wonderful human being that I would not have gotten through any of this without him, because even after you finish treatment you deal with issues with survivorship, with mental health. I think people assume when you finish treatment that that's the end of it, and it's not. And so he has been supportive in that right as well. So I am incredibly grateful for my other half, and the other author of 25 months. You get his perspective in the novel as well. And so he's unbelievable.
Oh, that's
I'm grinning
great.
ear to ear because I don't get an opportunity necessarily to publicly say these things about him. And I'm so glad I'm getting the opportunity to do so.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so what would be your final thought for our audience today? And then I have one more question after
Okay.
that.
I would say, regardless of where you are in your cancer journey, regardless if you are going through something that maybe is not cancer, but also incredibly difficult, that there is light if you're able. it, there's light out there, even in the midst of things that are very, very dark. And there is hope out there, even when things feel hopeless. And so I hope that my story, given that we were in a situation that was incredibly dark, we had gone through loss, we went through cancer, we were going through pregnancy, and now we've bore witness to this beautiful little girl, that I hope that this gives somebody who might be going through something very difficult a sense of hope.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So one final question for you,
Okay.
and this might tends to throw people for a loop, but
Okay.
I think you're very well versed, and you're I think you'll do fine with this question.
Okay.
We live in a world today that's very divisive, a lot of negativity. How do we help make this world a better place?
I think when you hear making the world a better place, we think that it has to be a grand gesture. And I think things in our daily life, you can make the world a better place in very small ways as well, whether that is helping another person um, walk their dog or buying a cup of coffee for somebody or just giving somebody a compliment. I think there are ways to build community and do little things and I think those add up. I really take a lot of lessons from my daughter who is finishing her last year of preschool, and she has said like I hugged somebody today and it made them feel great. And I think that we don't do enough of just those small gestures to make things better. And it we're not going to fix the world overnight, but I think those things add up. And I think we could take a lesson from a preschooler.
Absolutely awesome. Beth, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your incredible story. And we'll have links to your social media and your book and whatever
Thank
else
you.
that you want to provide. Be happy to put it in there. And thank you once again for your time and for sharing your knowledge and just an incredible story. I'm so thankful that you have a beautiful daughter who's healthy and is, living life, which is, that's what it's all about. Absolutely. So
Well,
I just wanted,
thank you so much for having me.
and there she
Oh,
is.
and there she is. So, so
And can you share what her name is?
her name is Harper.
I
And can you wave?
So that's Harper, and that's the result of this incredible story. Thank you everyone for joining us at To Be Your Own Hero. And I hope everybody has a very blessed week.
Gonna lick you.
Please like, make a comment in the comment section and subscribe to the channel. And I hope everybody has an incredible week. Thank you once again, Beth. And we
Thank
will see
you.
you next week on To Be Your Own Hero.